About those times when, despite our best efforts, we still feel a bit stuck or discouraged?
That's where the concept of a growth mindset comes in, which we touched on earlier.
Mm,
Remember, it's the belief that our abilities aren't fixed, but can be developed through effort and dedication. And this applies not just to language learning, but to any skill we're trying to develop.
So instead of seeing those moments of struggle as failures,
Right.
we view them as opportunities for learning and growth.
Exactly. It's about reframing those challenges as stepping stones on our path to fluency. It's about acknowledging that every mistake, every fumble is actually valuable feedback that helps us refine our skills and deepen our understanding.
This whole conversation has been so empowering. It's like you've given me a new lens through which to view the language learning process. It's not about striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection.
Right.
It's about embracing the journey, the challenges, and the triumphs along the way.
And that's what makes language learning so rewarding. It's a process of constant discovery, not just of a new language, but of ourselves, our capabilities, and our potential for growth.
I'm feeling so inspired to put all these strategies into action. But before we wrap up this episode, I'm curious, are there any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with our listeners? Any secrets to unlocking that elusive feeling of comfort and confidence in speaking a new language?
Remember, a language is more than just words and grammar rules. It's a tool for connection, for understanding, for experiencing the world in a whole new way. So embrace the journey, celebrate your progress, and never stop exploring the beauty and wonder of language.
Those are words to live by. And that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into finding your voice in a new language. We've covered a lot of ground, from practical strategies to mindset shifts. But before we conclude this episode in part 3, I want to leave you with this thought.
Finding your voice in a new language is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing the process, celebrating the small victories, and never losing sight of the joy of learning.
Welcome back to part 3 of our deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
We've explored a lot so far.
Yeah.
The theories behind output, practical strategies for getting started.
Mm-hmm.
We've even tackled that fear of making mistakes.
Right.
But now I think it's time to talk about the long game,
Okay.
how to stay motivated, and how to keep that momentum going even when things get tough.
Yeah.
You mentioned in your notes
Yeah.
that you're really drawn to this idea of a growth mindset,
Yes, definitely.
which totally aligns with what we've been discussing.
Absolutely. And it's really fascinating how this idea of a growth mindset seems to be this common thread through your language learning journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about learning the language.
Right.
It's about embracing this whole process of growth and development that comes with it.
Absolutely. And it makes so much sense when you think about the ups and downs
Mm-hmm.
of language learning.
Yeah.
There are going to be those amazing aha moments
Right.
when everything clicks.
Yeah.
But there will also be times when you feel stuck, frustrated,
Yeah.
maybe even a little discouraged.
Oh, of course.
And that's where having a growth mindset
yeah.
becomes essential.
It's essential.
Because remember, it's the belief that our abilities aren't fixed, that we can constantly learn and improve with effort and dedication.
Mm-hmm.
It's about seeing challenges not as roadblocks,
Right.
but as opportunities for growth.
Opportunities for growth.
So instead of getting bogged down by those moments of frustration, we can use them as fuel to push ourselves further.
Absolutely.
But how do we actually put that into practice? Because honestly, sometimes it's hard not to feel defeated when you're struggling with a tricky grammar concept,
Mm.
or you can't quite remember that one key word.
I think one of the most effective ways to cultivate a growth mindset is through setting realistic goals.
Yeah.
You mentioned wanting to be able to hold a basic conversation about your hobbies, right?
Yes, that's one of my big goals.
Okay.
I'd love to be able to chat with native speakers about the things I'm passionate about, even if it's a bit simple at first.
That's a fantastic goal. And it highlights the importance of making those goals specific and measurable instead of just saying, I want to be fluent.
Right.
Break it down into smaller, more achievable milestones.
So instead of that vague idea of fluency, I could set goals like learn 10 new words related to my hobby this week, or practice describing my favorite activity for 5 minutes each day.
Exactly.
That feels much more manageable.
Much more manageable. And those smaller wins along the way
Mm-hmm.
will not only keep you motivated, but also build your confidence each time you achieve a mini goal.
Right.
It reinforces that feeling of progress and reminds you that you are capable of learning this language.
And I guess those smaller goals also make it easier to track your progress, which can be super motivating in itself.
It is very motivating.
But what about those times when, despite setting those goals and having that growth mindset, we still hit those inevitable plateaus? What keeps us going when that initial excitement wears off
Right.
and the learning curve feels a bit steeper?
That's where self-compassion comes in.
Yeah.
It's about being kind to yourself, acknowledging that learning a new language takes time and effort,
Uh-huh.
and understanding that everyone learns at their own pace.
So instead of beating ourselves up for not progressing as quickly as we'd like,
Right.
we give ourselves permission to learn and grow at a pace that feels comfortable for us.
Exactly. And remember, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Don't compare your language learning journey to anyone else's.
It's hard not to.
I know it is, but everyone has their own unique strength,
Mm.
weaknesses, and learning styles. Focus on your own progress, celebrate your accomplishments, and give yourself credit for all the effort you're putting in.
That's such a powerful reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others, especially in the age of social media,
Yes.
where everyone seems to be a polyglot prodigy.
It seems that way.
But you're right, focusing on our own journey and celebrating those personal wins, no matter how small,
Mm-hmm.
is what keeps us going in the long run.
Exactly. And remember, language learning is a lifelong journey, not a race to the finish line. Mm-hmm.
There will always be new things to learn, new challenges to embrace, and new ways to express yourself in the language. So keep exploring, keep experimenting,
Right.
and keep that spark of curiosity alive.
This whole conversation has been such an incredible reminder of why we embarked on this language learning adventure in the first place.
Good. I'm glad.
It's not just about memorizing words and grammar rules. It's about expanding our horizons, connecting with others, and unlocking a whole new world of possibilities.
Beautifully said. And that's what we hope you've gained from this deep dive, not just knowledge about output and speaking,
Mm-hmm.
but a renewed sense of purpose and inspiration for your language learning journey.
And as we wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Remember, finding your voice in a new language is an ongoing process, a beautiful blend of knowledge practice and self-discovery.
Embrace the journey, celebrate your progress, and never stop exploring the incredible power of language. Thanks for joining us.